Good afternoon and welcome to another exciting round of Photoshop Party. Does that sound like a official?
Woohoo! Yeah, good.
Yay, okay, cool. Today we're going to play with the dinosaur a little bit and have a good time. I haven't really decided what I'm going to do with them, but we're going to do something with them and have a good time with them. So let me go to share screen and I'll go to desktop because I want to show you a couple of things really quick. Number one, I have in my folders on this particular drive, which is my latest drive, I have last year's photos because I still work with them a lot, 2020 photos, and you can all see my screen right now, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, cool. Print comp photos from years past and current year, looking at what I'm going to do for district shortly. I have my wife's pictures from her camera, and then I have what I call stock photos. Stock photos are just about anything and everything. If I shoot it and it's worth keeping somewhere, I keep them. And in animals, I have dinosaurs. And if you look at dinosaurs,
Yeah, you find them around, do you?
okay, why is my hard drive
Is there under
very slow?
T-Rex, maybe?
Well, I have T-Rex. Okay, I did put it under T-Rex. I went to the zoo and I photographed a T-Rex running around.
Cool.
Sure you did.
Zoo.
Sure you did.
I might use it someday. I don't know. So I kept it in there and put it under dinosaurs.
I have a costume if you want to borrow it.
Can we put you in it?
Yeah.
So what we're going to do today is we're going to work with my T-Rex dinosaur. And I actually did some already playing with him. Wait for my hard drive to catch up because it's very slow. Let's go ahead and open them up in Photoshop, see what happens. And the spinning wheel of death. So that even works on this computer too. I think Zoom just slows down my computer a lot. This is what I did playing around with him. I put him on his own layer and then played around. That's kind of what we're going to do today, is just kind of use a bunch of different techniques for making this guy as scary as possible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start on the teeth, because that seems to be what most people are afraid of with the dinosaurs, the teeth. And the fastest thing for me to do is I'm going to go to
make a background copy.
I have my mixer brush and I have my smudge tool. I'm going to start with the mixer brush, and I could put him on his own layer just for fun so we can see before and afters. So let's put him on his own layer. And I'm going to dig out my magic Wacom tablet and start playing with that. And you can see how big my brush is right now up by the top teeth. If you can see my cursor up there, I'm going to actually make it smaller. And I'm hitting the left bracket key, which is right next to the P. Make it a little bit bigger. And just what I'm doing is dragging his teeth down. So I can give him larger teeth. And you don't have to do them all super
You're just
large.
doing the brush to do that?
The brush is doing that, the mixer brush.
Mixer brush.
And if you look at my settings up here, right now it's set to a size of 70.
Mm-hmm.
The, where it says, whoops. It says load brush, clean brush, load solid colors only. I have it blank up there. I think it's clean brush is what the selection is. Custom, wet 100, load 100, mix 100, flow 100. That's what it's currently set at. You can change that to do different things while you're doing this. And like to the top of the last tooth on the top row, I want to push that little area of gum back so it looks more like teeth there. And then I'm going to also add in the bottom row of teeth. So just kind of, you're dragging it up.
Wow, that's great.
I mean, it's really simple to do once
Yeah.
you've played with it. Yeah, music.
Sorry,
Normally,
my bad.
Normally when I'm working, I do have music on, and I have a good time with that. Now I'm going to switch to the smudge tool. And if you notice, I have my mixer brush and my smudge tool both in the same toolbox on the left-hand side. I took out all of the other stuff that went with those and just have my smudge tool and mixer brush. And I changed the letter to A. I don't know what A was before, but I just changed it to A. And to do that, you go to Edit, Keyboard Shortcuts, and then somewhere in here is the toolbar for tools. And so I changed the mixer brush and the smudge tool both to A. So it's just that simple. And the smudge tool, the difference between the smudge tool and the mixer brush is the smudge tool is a little bit sharper, so it doesn't quite spread out like the mixer brush does. So let's zoom in so you can see. It's almost like creating hairs on there. Let's go back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, back to my smudge tool. You can see you can go very sharp with it.
You can't put a color on the smudge tool though, right? Only on the mixer tool.
Yeah, you can only put a color on the mixer tool, which I don't even do. I just drag the color up. And if you get too far, you can just drag the color from beside it back in again and clean it up.
Mike, if you change your opacity on your mixer, your mixer brush, will that make it less smudgy?
Well, you set the settings of wet, load. Let's set them to 50% for wet, load 50%, and then I'll try pulling down this tooth right here.
Can't see.
I don't see what tooth where you are.
The third tooth from the left on the top row.
Mm,
Can't
see
see.
you.
Here,
You disappeared.
There you go. There you go.
right up
Okay.
there.
Yeah, it doesn't
And it
work.
just doesn't move as fast.
Okay.
So it still moves, but not quite as fast. So it's not too bad.
Yeah, but if you took the color that's on the tooth now and put it in that well, it would paint it on the tooth.
So if I took this color here and put it in here, so we'll load the brush with that color. Let's go up to 0. Whoops, I want 100%.
Yeah. See the well there? Yeah, you want to put the color of the tooth in that well.
Basically what the mixer brush is doing is dragging the color, and you can see that it cleaned it up right away there. Put it back to clear the brush. You can change these settings if you want, but I'm not. That's a Sandra Pierce class all by itself. Basically, you're just dragging pixels is what you're doing. So let's go ahead and zoom out a little bit. This is before. This is after.
Lot
Much
better.
better.
Much scarier.
He's getting
Much
scary.
scarier. He's getting scary. I think what we'll do is drag his claw out a little bit and bend it just a little bit. Uh-oh. It's a little bit more difficult to drag them out when they're pointed right at you, unless you're an artist, which I am not. So let's go back to my smudge tool. Drag that back in. So you can clean up your mess just by painting it back over again. Somebody's got little carousel or circus music on.
Husband's on hold.
Oh, okay. He's got a belly button down here. A couple of ways to fix that. Ooh, he's got writing down here too. We can fix that too.
Oh, yeah.
We can do lasso. And a couple of parties ago, I showed you how to do an action, which is my content aware fill and deselect. So I click on that, click run, and it just cleared that up. I've also got the lettering I want to get rid of here, so I'll just drag a lasso around that. And the cool thing is with this action, all I have to do on my keyboard is hit F3 and it runs the action. And if you don't like what it did, you just run it again. Does it for you automatically. Everything's done.
Oh. Where do we get that action?
Well, if you talk nice to me, I'll email you the action.
Aren't you nice?
No,
You're so nice.
don't ruin my reputation.
Okay. All right.
I'm not going to do his eye yet because that's a little bit more intense process. I want to change his color from brown to a greenish tint. So I'm going to add a new layer, and it's going to be a blank layer. Hopefully this works for me. I'm not sure it will. So we're going to zoom into this area. The blank layer, I'm going to change from normal to color mode. I'm going to keep it at 100%. I'm going to pick a color over here, and we're going to go with a green. Let's go with the dark green. Dark green. How about a dark green? B for brush. And in my presets, I have a soft round edge brush, but it changes the color back to white, which I don't like. Opacity, I'm going to go to 10%. All I have to do is hit the 1 key, and it takes it to 10. If I hit 0, it goes to 100. If I hit 5, it goes to 50. And a trick question, if I wanted 0% opacity, what's the keyboard shortcut for that?
0.
There is none because you don't want to paint with 0% opacity.
Use something else. That's what I said.
Yeah.
Use a
Like
different tool.
clear. Yeah, different tool. That makes sense.
Okay, let's go ahead and do normal mode on color at 50. That's just 10%, and I'm just going to kind of.
So don't change it from normal to color?
My mode on my layer is set to color.
Okay.
You could probably set this to color as well if you wanted to. Let's see what it does. It's kind of the same thing.
Okay.
And you can see that I'm painting it really light opacity in green.
Yeah.
And it's changing. There's before, there's after, before, after. If I bump it up to 20%, it'll start painting on a whole lot faster for me.
Would you have wanted to maybe select the subject first and then paint so you wouldn't paint outside the lines
You could.
as an option? Yeah.
Well, let's do this then. Go there.
I just didn't know if there was a reason not to do it.
Select subject. No, there's no reason not to.
Okay.
Probably smarter to do it that way.
And I'm sure you were going to tell us that anyway.
No, I was just going to paint. As a child, I was never one to stay within the lines.
Really? I'm
Yeah,
shocked.
exactly. Yeah. Okay. Painting with color. Here we go. Nice and green. Do it really fast.
Good
Otherwise, you'll see me painting
Okay,
for the
are
next
you,
hour.
Forever.
are you painting on the right layer?
Actually, I'm
Yeah,
painting on layer 1, but that's okay. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to change the color mode from color to multiply. And where there's areas of shadow, like right here, I'm going to multiply that color. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another layer just for fun. You can see that if you add multiply, that's at 20%, which is too bright, or too dark, I should say. Let's go to 10 and do the same thing. Just paint in the shadow areas to bring up the greens in the shadows. And you can keep your finger on the keyboard the whole time while you're painting, and make your brush bigger, smaller, change from brush to a different tool, because you only need one hand holding your Wacom tablet pen. And now I'm going to change it from multiply to screen and hit some of the highlight areas. And it should be painting, it's actually still painting in a darker mode, but it should lighten just a little bit. And I'm just painting away all over the place because I'm one of those that doesn't paint
You
in
want
one
normal
spot.
layer and not a color?
Screen.
Right now, it's on normal layer. If I change it to color, you can see what it does. In fact, as you drive through all these different colors, vivid light changes the setting big time.
Mm-hmm. Looks good though.
I think it looks better in vivid light.
Uh-huh.
Okay, vivid
And
light it is.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get stuck on one particular area or one particular mode. Experiment with things as you're going. I want to bring the color behind his mouth into a red. So I'm going to change colors. Let's go to red. And it's in screen mode. So let's see what that does. I'm going to go to 5%. So I hit 0.5. And just kind of play with it here and there. I'm not going to show the whole painting on this guy because you guys didn't pay big bucks to see painting. I'm putting red in there because red's a scary color. And that's still in vivid light. So if I change it to color mode, it's softer. Vivid light's
Yeah, that's
brighter.
good.
So we'll stay with vivid. Let me go ahead and put him on a new layer. So I'm going to hit Command J, which is going to take my selection and put it on a new layer all by itself. I think. Command J. No, it's not. What it did,
it's duplicated the current layer, right?
it just duplicated the layer that we painted on. So let's do this. Command Z. Get that back? No, I'm going to do it this way. Command Shift E. So we'll bring him up on his own layer by himself. So I'll do the claw command. If I do Command J and I'm on layer 3, it's only
Oh, yes, it's a pleasure.
If you just want what you've selected, it's Command Shift J.
If I do a Command Shift J, it's only going to take the layer that's underneath that's selected and bring it up on this layer.
Okay. Yeah.
You can see it's just the
That'll do
painting that
selection.
we've done. So if I do a claw, Command Shift Option E, do a selection again. So we'll select subject. And what I could have done is just taken him off all by himself to begin with. And we'll do a Command J now, and that brings him up on his own layer. If I hold the Option key or the Alt key and click on the eyeball, then it just has him by himself. All the other layers are shut off. If I do that again, Option or Alt, click on the eyeball, it turns all the layers back on. I'm going to go to Edit, Puppet Warp.
Michael, what are you up to?
Oh, William, I'm still down here at this apartment building at the plumber's up on the ladder.
You guys need to mute.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, with Puppet Warp, it's really cool. If you haven't played with it, it's confusing at first. So I'm going to put a warp button on his elbow. I'm going to put a button on his hand, and I'm just going to, let's lock him down so he doesn't move. You
Oh,
can move,
cool. That is way cool.
you can move things around. So lock it in by hitting Enter. We'll go up to Edit, Puppet Warp. You can open his mouth a little bit more, stretch it out. Lock that in. Take his tail, do the same thing. So you go Edit, and you do, I don't know if you can, a way to do separate areas. There probably is a way. And do the same thing, stretch his tail out a little bit. You can move him this way.
Big feet.
So if you want him stepping on a car or something, you raise his foot up and lock him in. So this is him before. This is him after. So let's hit the Move tool. You can see the difference between the two. Now go back. Turn that guy back off again. And the eye. The eye can be a challenge. What I'm going to do is I'm going to paint the eye with red. So go for B for brush. And let's take it to 10%.
You want to put another layer on that?
I could, so we can see before and after. So let's do another layer. And we'll just go in and paint. Let's change the mode to color. And that's really not enough. So let's go to 40%. There we go. And you'll notice the areas that are really bright, almost white, are not accepting the color.
This is
When
nothing to grab onto.
When you're in color mode, black and white does not accept the color very well. So let's change from screen to multiply to take in the darker areas. And I'm going to do the darker area up on top. No, I changed my mind. Let's go to normal, 100% opacity. There we go. Now we're talking. Oh no, he painted over the eyeball. It's okay. Now we're going to multiply at 10%. And you notice that I'm not dragging all the way back up here to get my 10%. I'm just using the keyboard. It saves time. And you can see as I'm doing a multiply mode, even though I'm not staying in the lines, it's darkening that red up there. So if I change it from multiply to screen, it's going to lighten the colors, which gives you depth to the eyeball. And you can thank Sandra Pierce for teaching me that, because she's an artist, I'm not. I'm going to change to black, and the shortcut for black on here is 0. And the hexadecimal color down at the bottom of your color picker, just hit 0 and it goes to black. And it's a screen at 10%. Black does not go very well with screen. Normal, 100%. Now I'm going to do a Sandra Pierce trick, and I'm going to go to, I got to remember the tool that I'm doing it. It's not smudge. The sharpen tool. Click on the sharpen tool at 100%. And you just kind of paint on here till you start getting some pixels. And that adds a bit of texture to the eye. And I think that I want to brush around the edge of the eye on top, right up here, just to darken that down a little bit more. So I'll go to a smaller edge brush, go to multiply, so I'm darkening again, and I'm going to go to 20% just to make it go quick. And I'm not worried about staying in the lines. That's just kind of outlining the edge of the eyeball. Make my brush a little smaller. And the coup de grace of this is when Sandra Pierce did her class the other day for one of the, I forget which one she was on, she said she was going to the star brush, and I laughed because I knew where she was going with it. It's under legacy brushes. I think it's under default, and there should be a star 26 right here. Star 26. Basically, that's the size of the brush when it was made. And I'm going to go to my default colors, D for default, X to get white. And I'm going to put opacity 100%, normal mode, can't do darken with white. And when you back out, you can see that it gives a little bit of texture to the eye. Let me add some more brush on there, the star brush. It gives a direction of light to the eye, which makes it look more realistic. And then if you have like web feet we have down here, you don't want that. A couple of different things you can do is, I'm going to combine this layer down. Well, wait, I promised a before and after the eye, didn't I? So we have after, before. Which one's scarier? I think the red is. And I'm going to Command E, which will merge those two layers together. And then zoom in on the foot down here. Add a layer mask, B for brush. And if I paint with black, it should make it go away with the soft edge brush, of course.
And the color's not black. There you go.
Yeah. You know, when things like that happen, I just look at the color real fast, because when you switch brushes, sometimes it changes colors on you. And right now it's a soft edge brush. What I could do is change it to a hard edge brush, 100% hardness. And then you don't have the edging like that. And I like having music while I'm working. And if you screw up, you just hit X, which brings up the white. And then if you're not happy with that, you can go to your smudge tool or your mixer brush. Of course, you got to be off of the mask and bring down some sharper toenails. Delete the mask now that I've done that, apply, and now I can add more toenail length, which makes them a little bit scarier. And again, I'm using my mixer brush right now to mix the colors together and drag it out. You can also use your mixer brush to paint in like that, which is not good. Go back to mask, B for brush. Black gets rid of that. I'm listening. Go ahead.
Saying you were in white again.
Okay, yeah. It only takes me a few seconds to realize, oops, I'm making a mistake. And again, if you mess up, you just change colors, paint it back in. So that is one weird looking dinosaur. It's like he's wearing a mask, a green mask over the top of his body. And if you want to do the left side as well, we can make sure you're on black. And if you're not using a Wacom tablet, which I hated when I first started with my Wacom, you get used to it and you're much more accurate than a mouse or especially a trackpad. I've had some people try to do my classes using the pad on their laptop, and it's really hard to get a good feel for where your mouse is at. We'll go back to mixer brush, add some toenails on. And it also takes the pressure. So if you're only pushing a little bit, it just brings out really sharp. If you're pushing hard, it brings out a big mass. So it's pressure sensitive with your Wacom tablet as well.
So how can you control pressure if you use a mouse?
You can't.
Well, okay then.
Simple as that. You cannot.
The Wacom tablet and I have arguments every time we use it. I use it, and I usually lose the arguments. So.
Well, it took me a while to get used to my Wacom, but I've gotten to the point, if I'm doing up close work on eyes or something that needs gentle touch, the Wacom tablet's the only way to go. If I'm using just an overall crash course, I'm going to use my mouse. The mouse is more comfortable for me in my hand, but because I have big hands. Okay, questions? Any questions that we have here?
I have a Wacom question. Every once in a while, apparently I drag my hand across it or something. I've just learned how to use it. And it cocks the whole canvas about 4 degrees. Is there anything I can do for that?
Have you got the tablet set up? You got it set up so you're touching something that's moving it.
That could be it, yeah.
Yeah, you go into your utilities, into your Wacom utilities. I don't have mine up handy right now. Let's
I
go to
disabled all mine because I kept on doing that too. It drove me crazy. Wow, it's going all over the place.
applications, Wacom tablet, Wacom tablet center. I keep turning mine off. We go to share screen, desktop, and you just my devices, and then you can go into your touch settings, or all the different settings in here, and there is a setting in there for touch, which I think is probably where you're having a problem with it. I just turned mine off. I don't even deal with it because I don't use it like that. I just use it for painting and a pen. So, other questions?
I was just going to mention what I do when I do coloring is I'll isolate the area I'm going to color and then I fill it with the color. Have you tried that?
You could do that. Let me go into that again. And you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay. Depending on what you're painting, let's go and put them up on a new layer. And then what you do is you isolate the area you want to go with and fill with the color.
Yeah, let's say maybe his back leg if you want to make it green, dark green. Or
Do that, and we'll go to here and go to edit, fill, color, and we'll pick that color again. There we go.
you could have done just the foreground color.
Yeah. And then go into color mode. And that changes its color for where you wanted it painted. And then you can adjust your opacity to make it fit how you want it to be. So you have before and after.
This seems a little faster sometimes if you're trying to do a big area.
Sometimes, but then when you get into, say, this area here, you go into your brush again, and let's go to multiply with that green, and let's go to 10%. I'll put that on. It may not work as well in color mode. So let's go ahead and make Command J, go to, oh, that's not going to work for that. I guess it's there, but it's very subtle when you're painting in.
Well, can you increase the opacity?
As a matter of fact, I think I can. It's still very subtle.
I think maybe if you made another layer over, then it would.
Where's my, there it is. Whoa. Okay, that's increased capacity. Let's go back to 10%. And what I'm doing is just painting in the areas where his wrinkles are right here, which intensifies his wrinkles. So you have before and after. And it takes a while. I mean, it's not a super quick process.
But it makes it more believable.
It makes it much more believable. Yeah, you can see the crevices and stuff that he has. And then if you want to do the highlights, you go to screen and just paint on the highlights. That's even darkening too, so I don't want that. We'll go with a slightly softer color in screen mode. And if you paint too dark in an area and you want to lighten it, you can just go to screen and with a little bit lighter color. And paint them in. Yeah, before, after. It's hard to see on the computer probably from, there we go. You can see the difference, especially in the multiply, it really pops out. So anywhere you want, you just go ahead and paint on him.
It makes it more three-dimensional.
It makes it more three-dimensional. Yeah, it shows the lighting more. Okay, other questions? Oh, you guys got to have questions. Come on.
Yeah, Michael, how long did you stay on that mechanical bull?
Just long enough to get my picture taken, and then I jumped right off. They didn't even turn it on.
It didn't throw you off? That's no fun.
He didn't turn it on.
They didn't turn it on. I wouldn't allow that. I still had 3 more days to photograph at the county fair. I didn't want to screw things up.